Is Emeka Egbuka exactly what the Broncos wide receiver rotation is missing? We're talking about it. I'm Henry Chisholm. This is Andre Simone. We're going to be digging into Ohio State's star receiver. Yes, he is a star. For a second, I questioned it as well as it was coming out of my mouth. He's a star. He's a star. He's a 1,000-yard receiver.
Good point. Good point.
Before we give our thoughts, we're going to throw it over to all-city draft expert Fran Duffy as he breaks down the tape of Emeka Egbuka.
All right, let's go to the national champion Buckeyes to talk about their longtime wide receiver, Emeka Egbuka, who's been a 3-year starter primarily in the slot for this football team. And that's really what's been interesting about his profile. Look, he's always been Robin to somebody else's Batman. You had Marvin Harrison Jr. there for a couple of years. Then you had Jeremiah Smith, the freshman phenom, take over here in 2024. But Egbuka was always there as a really reliable playmaker in the middle of the field for the Buckeyes. What is his superpower? To me, he's got that skill set to be your classic possession receiver. He's a really good college route runner, and he's got outstanding hands. He rarely puts the football on the ground. A couple focus drops here and there, but his drop rates have always been really, really low. He does a great job of just being a consistent player at the catch point. And I talk about the route running. It's not always just about him just throwing a jab step and being able to create separation with sharp route breaks. He does a lot of little savvy things very well. He settles into soft spots and zone at a high level. He's able to play through contact at every phase of the route. That's something I put a lot of stress on, and he does that very well. He can fight through a jam. He bumps off contact really well. DBs and linebackers and safeties, if they bump him mid-route, he's not getting disrupted with the timing of the quarterback. He's always making himself available for the quarterback. So I like that. He's always coming back to the football. He knows when to reduce the route. And again, just got to be that quarterback's best friend in the middle of the field. So he's really consistent. The yards after catch numbers have always been solid with him. So, I think when you're looking at Emeka Egbuka, he's got the ability to transition really well to the inside. Now, when you get to the negatives, there's a couple of things here from the profile that can be a little bit worrisome. Now, down the field, he was rarely used. And the PFF now, they have charted 221 receivers drafted in the last decade. Only 11 of them were targeted less often down the field than Egbuka was over the course of his career, or over the course of his last season in college football. Just 12.6%. That number dropped down every single year. None of those receivers ever made a Pro Bowl. This is a guy he's been used primarily underneath between the numbers. Can he be more than that in the NFL? Early on watching him, I thought he could be like an Allen Robinson type. Was a second-round pick out of Penn State, had a really nice long career, first in Jacksonville, then he goes to Tampa, or to Chicago. He's been in a couple different spots, just recently retired. When you're looking at Egbuka, I think that could be the ceiling, like a solid number one to a really good number two. The question is, can he be that three-level threat? If he's just an underneath guy in the middle of the field, that can impact your value for some teams. Some people might look at Cooper Kupp and even in his heyday and say, well, that's the best way you're going to use Cooper Kupp. There might be some teams. Sean McVay might look at Emeka Egbuka and say, yeah, that's what I want for my offense. Again, his ability to play through contact, be that reliable route runner, and never put the football on the ground. A lot to like there with the skill set for Emeka Egbuka. And so I think when you're looking at this skill set, it's about trying to project him to your scheme. What is he going to mean for you? He's not always going to be that vertical threat outside the numbers. I mentioned the small sample size of those deep throws. It's not that he can't track the deep ball. A lot of the catches he's made along the sideline, you kind of see him looking in through his eyeball or through his eyelids and track it over the shoulder and make it along the sideline. He can make those types of catches. Just about, all right, are you going to be that factor in the vertical part of the field or not when you reach the NFL? We've made some mistakes in the past in projecting receivers in this way, but he is definitely going to be an outlier on one end of the spectrum in terms of his college usage and trying to project that forward to the NFL. He's not a burner on film. I honestly don't even care what the 40-yard dash time says. On film, he's got solid speed, not great speed. I don't think he's going to be that true every down game breaker in the NFL just based off of film study over the course of the last 3 years for Ohio State. So when I'm projecting Egbuka to the NFL, wide variety of outcomes there. I mentioned a couple names, Allen Robinson, Cooper Kupp. That's probably the ceiling that you're talking about. Now it's a matter of, all right, if he doesn't quite hit that ceiling, could he be a Jacoby Myers? Could he be a Jawan Jennings, who's been a solid inside, a big inside player? Because I think he's got the ability to be a good dirty work player. He's got some good reps as a blocker. I mentioned what he does on contact. He can play on special teams. There's a lot to like there about Egbuka and the high floor. Now it's just about just trying to determine what that ceiling is. That's the discussion everybody's having in draft rooms around the NFL leading up to the NFL draft. What do you think? You guys let me know. Emeka Egbuka, though, one of the best receivers in this class.
Is Emeka Egbuka a star receiver? This conversation might have taken a turn because I think that's a pretty interesting conversation right there.
I mean, Fran's breakdown is really, really interesting.
Yes.
He is, as far as skill players go in this draft, maybe the safest of them all. Wide receivers, tight ends, running backs,
even Genty.
Certainly quarterbacks. Yeah, I think Genty has more wear and tear concerns, right?
Travis Hunter is safe. He's the unicorn here.
But even then, there's durability and size concerns that Egbuka doesn't have.
It's like 10-pound difference.
Like if you were telling me the best guarantee to arrive to a second contract, he's probably it. And it's because he just checks off every single box.
Yep.
Hands, they're great. Blocking, yes, sir. Give me more. Inside, outside versatility as a wide receiver that's above 6 feet, above 200 pounds. This guy's such a great slot wide receiver. 4 years of high-end production, despite having a fight for touches with other superstar wide receivers, Marvin Harrison Jr., Jeremiah Smith. But then we can get enamored with the ceiling of all the other prospects. That's really his question is, what is his ceiling? Is just more of a role player, or is this a guy who in the right offense, given the right opportunity, could explode and become a Justin Jefferson, become a Cooper Kupp, even become a Puka Nacua, become one of these kind of star wide receivers who, for whatever reason, small school, maybe playing a secondary role in college like Jefferson was to Jamar Chase, weren't able to break out, but then as pros, when given the right opportunity, did.
Yeah. And, coming into this draft cycle, you come in with some like ideas, right? Where it's like, okay, Ashton Genty is the best running back in this class. Nobody's going to convince me anything different. Travis Hunter is the best receiver in this. One of them was, I am not going to just forget about Emeka Egbuka or knock him down just because he's so polished, because that's happened before. Like, these are the guys who get forgotten in a draft class because Matthew Golden runs a 4.29. How could you not take him? And back in the day, there were Jerry Jeudy's feet are so quick. Like, sure, Justin Jefferson led the nation in catches that season, but look at Jerry Jeudy, look at Henry Ruggs with the speed. And so you miss on some of these guys. It feels like more often than others for that reason. In the past week, I've really struggled with that, though, I'll be honest. Because like I said, Justin Jefferson did lead the nation in catches. There's a bunch of those little things that stand out, some of the big games. And here's what it boils down to for me. The past 2 years, Emeka Egbuka has played 26 football games. He's gone over 100 yards once. That number kind of concerns me. Yeah. When you look at other guys in this class with Tedero McMillan, he has a 300-yard game. He has several 200-yard games. He's got plenty of 100-yard games. I mean, there's so many of these guys who just shown so much more ability to take over a game that I'm starting to forget one of those key rules that I had at the start of the year. And I kind of wonder if a guy who in 16 games had 1,011 yards... Is he really somebody who's going to be a number one receiver in the NFL?
I mean, a typical number one, no. But again, are Jefferson and Cooper Kupp typical number ones,
Yeah.
Does it matter? Is it just better off to check off all these boxes, be a really safe prospect, and just let Bo Nix feed him, We heard Sean Payton talking about the triangle needs to be better, and that's tight end, slot, and receiving running backs.
Yep.
And he would be a massive upgrade in the slot, and he is a good blocker. He is over 200 pounds. He's a guy who you can feed the ball, not just as a slot receiver with direct carries. He's got the size to play outside and route running ability and physicality.
6'1", 203.
At the catch point.
He does have the size, but isn't exceptional size.
Yeah, no, he's not huge.
No.
But again,
it's
he's
enough.
Got good size.
It's enough.
And yeah, I mean, I wonder, I go back to kind of some of his early days where when he was playing with CJ Stroud, when he was playing opposite
Marvin Harrison Jr.
Marvin Harrison Jr., he does have 10 touchdowns, 15.6 yards per catch on just 74 grabs. The playoff run, he has back-to-back 100-yard games, right? Or something like that.
Yep.
Like 15.6 yards per catch. That's right what T-Mac did this year.
Yeah, totally.
Like, would we, because, Fran had that stat on the amount of vertical targets and how that's gone down. Is that a function of Ohio State's quarterbacks getting worse and then becoming more of a run-heavy team? Or is it an Egbuka thing? I tend to think it's probably more a function of the offense. But yeah, if you're looking for a home run threat, if you're looking for a classic outside wideout, this isn't your guy.
Exactly. And that's where, he checks every box. 4.48 40-yard dash, not going to blow you away. But
it's very good.
It's good enough. 6'1", 200, not going to blow you away. Good enough. The catches, the consistency, all that sort of stuff. Good. Former 5-star recruit. Like, the guy's been great for, he went to Ohio State. He was going to be close to that regardless. Exactly.
You have to be a superstar. Yeah.
And you throw in, he used to be a returner too. His first couple years, he was an All Big Ten honorable mention kick returner, a finalist for the Paul Hornung Award, most versatile player because of that return ability. Again, 4.48, not exactly the most used, not a returner in the NFL, but you just see all these little boxes that he checks, and you say, hey, that's a good receiver, but is he really going to be a great receiver? And right now, I would say no. I don't think he is. But if you're picking in the 20s. That might be where the rubber kind of hits the road, and you say, hey, we think that this can be a guy who's going to be a wide receiver 2 for us. In the NFL, you need 58 yards a game to hit 1,000. I think he could probably do that. And are you really nitpicking by saying he doesn't have Matthew Golden's speed? He doesn't have T-Mac size. There's a little bit of that there.
100%. And if you end up with Jackson Smith and Jigba at the 20th pick, I think you're probably pretty happy. He's so safe. He's a top 10 talent for me because he plays a premium position. And there's very few outcomes I can foresee where he's not going to be a really good wide receiver in this league.
Yep. And I would agree. We'll see what Sean Payton thinks.
Yeah.
I'm curious about that.
That's the big question.
Real quick, last one. What are the odds he's still on the board at 20?
Becoming maybe slightly slimmer, but I still think fairly high, between 65 and 75%. I'm going to say.
I was going to say 60, 65. Yeah, it's tough with receivers. That's becoming a premium position. We've got more of these on the way. Reminder, check out the Broncos 100 on our website for our top 100 prospects with the breakdowns, all that sort of stuff, and our draft guide that our guy Fran Duffy, who you heard from earlier, put together. Hundreds of prospects, strengths, weaknesses, full breakdowns. Check that out also at thednvr.com, and stay tuned to the YouTube page for more of these videos.